All right, welcome back to the O&G StrikeZone. Brian Fulford, Marcus Green, Kelvin Rozier, and it's a pleasure to be joined by Mr. Don Roberts, former drum major of the Marching 100, longtime band director at Southwest DeKalb High School in Metro Atlanta, also a band consultant for the hit movie Drumline and the sequel Drumline: A New Beat. Served as a consultant for Beyonce's HBCU themed Coachella performance, and of course the co-creator of Drumline Live. Anything I missed there, Don? Anything that I missed there?
No, the sole creator for Drumline Live.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, sir. Okay. How you doing this evening?
I'm great, man. I'm honored to be here on your show. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Well, hey, it's a pleasure to have you on, and first off, I know our late friend and our good friend Kofi would be tickled pink if he were here. I know he's here with us, but I know he would eat this up. I know he had tried to have you on. He talked to me and talked to us about having you on previously, so it's good to have you on.
Yeah, absolutely. May God rest his soul. Kofi Hemingway is a visionary. When I was at Southwest DeKalb, he found me, and he was impressed with the program because we were at FAMU 2 different times. And from that time moving forward, we were in constant contact. And I just appreciate his willingness to push the button. He's one of those guys that didn't mind telling you how to run your program and telling you what to do, and how to innovate. So, and we all need that push sometimes. So I miss Kofi.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, look, hey, I know there's a lot of different things that we can talk on. Right. So let's kind of, before we talk about the HBCU Band of the Year contest, because I know that's what people are itching for. That's what the hot topic. And I'll tell you, Don, after we talked at the press conference, I got a chance to meet you and everything. And we had Executive Director Grant on one of our shows. That conversation went on for about a good week and a half. I mean, the buzz about that event is it's deserved. Yeah. It's real. Yeah. Did you get the sense that this when Mr. Grant came to you, did you get a sense that this kind of attention would draw this kind of focus from folks?
Yeah, well, I did, and believe it or not, Mr. Grant and I have been working on this since 2017.
Okay.
So we put a lot of thought into the process, and one thing that John and I have in common is that we both don't mind being innovators. And I'll throw a plug to Dr. William P. Foster. Again, rest his soul as well, former director of bands at Florida A&M University. Julian White, guys that didn't mind pushing the button. Dr. Foster had 32 innovations. And I tell people that as much as you hear about marching bands, there's never been a real true competition in the history of HBCU marching bands. You see the movie Drumline, where you see, Atlanta A&T won the event. That was fictional. But I challenge anybody to think about an HBCU band competition on an annual basis. That's a full real and it doesn't exist. And that's why it's so hot, because it's new, it's innovative, never been done before. And I think people are intrigued by the idea of, having an HBCU Band of the Year.
I mean, great timing for, and I'll get out of the way and let Kelvin and Marcus jump in here. Great timing for you guys. Why do you think it took so long for it to finally happen?
Well, the HBCU band culture is sacred. It is. And I mean that in a very, very respective way. And I'll just give you a quick little segue into that. When we did Coachella with Beyonce, and they were trying to decide who they wanted for the thing, and I said, if you guys want me, I'm going to be very straightforward with HBCU culture. But if you get the wrong person and you think the Beehive is tough, if you mess this up, Beyonce is going to have a problem on her hands. And, so when we did it, I think that was one of the things that stuck in their head. We wanted to be true to the culture. And so what took us so long, we wanted to make sure we were true to the culture. as far as just doing it the right way, we want to include the HBCU band directors. We want to make sure we had, a system that was impeccable in terms of adjudication so that it would be fair and something that would keep the fans motivated.
Kelvin, you want to add any go ahead, jump in there and add to this on the band of the year thing while we're talking on it.
Man, I think it's a great idea, and people are going to be very tuned in and interested in it, no doubt about it. Right. So the two big questions I know that I've heard that people have, one is who's going to be the committee, or how do you judge, and is that on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis? Right. Who the judges, how they going to judge? And then I think the other question is, when the four finalists are selected and chosen, what kind of packages it is for those bands to come and participate during that time of the year?
I mean, great questions, and man, you guys sound like band directors, because that's the first thing they want to know. Who's going to be the judges? And again, just in terms of the delicacy again of the culture again. When I see FAMU and, or anybody sees FAMU, they want to see those drum majors walk out with the walk. They want to see them flip those batons, and they want to hear 20th century fanfare. They want to hear the concert selection. But when I go to Southern University, I want to hear that sound they have. I want that drum major to do that back bend before it goes out and kick. And I want to see the dancing girls, the dancing dogs. How do you judge that fairly, as a director? So you have to understand both cultures or all the different cultures that go along with it. So one thing we wanted to do was get a really good committee first. And shout out to Dr. Julian White, because he was our committee chair in 2017 when we were just doing the rankings. He served as the chair along with Dr. Harold Halton from Virginia State for Division II. So we have that concept. We will have two main chairs that will guide us to make sure they have impeccable reputations. And what we got back from the directors, well, what if somebody went to Southern and they're judged? What if they went to Jackson State and they're judged? We're going to make sure it's balanced in terms of schools, in terms of pedigree, in terms of background. But at one point, integrity and character have to take place. Meaning that we have to have judges that have high character, integrity, and that's what the resumes will be impeccable once we announce them. And we're going to be announcing the chair soon. We've narrowed it down. It's been a national search for the chairman. After the chairman, we're going to have Division I, SWAC, MEAC, Division I schools, even North Carolina A&T, that are no longer in, the MEAC. Mistake. Sorry about that. that are no longer, but they're banned. We're going to bring them back in. We're going to bring Hampton back in. Tennessee State, they're not in a true division, but we're going to bring them in. All the Division I schools, directors, they will judge Division II schools. So you won't be allowed to judge within your division. The Division II schools, the Virginia States, the Fayetteville States, newly in Florida Memorial Band, they'll judge Division I. So you have band directors judging band directors. So you got degree people, music educators with the knowledge of music education more so than anybody that will be adjudicators. Now we will also have a fan vote as well, but of course that won't weigh as much as the from the colleagues. And then we'll have a small percentage of celebrity vote, and between the celebrity vote and the fan vote, it will be a very small percentage, but over 90% of the adjudication scores will come from band directors. So if that's not fair, I don't know what it is.
Love it, man. I think that's a very good idea.
That's good. And so those are going to be active band directors, or maybe just recently retired or former, or
all of the above.
Okay.
Our chairs won't be associated with any present bands.
Gotcha.
That's one of the criteria. That if you are a chair, you have to be retired, or you have to be in a prestigious type of position, with an impeccable resume on a national level. So when we announce the chairs, all I can say is, it's going to probably be a wow factor once you see the chairs. Like, for example, when we had Dr. White as a chair, his resume was impeccable. Whether you're SWAC, whether you're MEAC, whether you're Division I, II, it's nothing you can say like, okay, he's the chair. Same thing with Harold Halton, who actually started the Sonic Boom of the South with Jackson State. Then he went to Division II. It's going to be that caliber person for chairs. But to answer your question, we'll have retired, and we'll also have present band directors. So, the present band directors, they'll get, and this is the beauty of the adjudication, is that like Battle of the Bands, you got to pack up, you got to travel, you got to go to a stadium. This is done in the beauty of your own stadium on your own time. We will look at video tape shows. Okay, so we'll get one show from September, one show from October, one show from December. And people say, why so few? Because we don't want to interrupt homecoming. We don't want to interrupt, special shows that go to with your school. So we want one show from September. Send us your best show. October, send us your best show. So on. Send us your best show. We'll have the guys, they'll look at it. You'll be judged on musicality, how well you sound. You'll be judged on pictures, drill, and design, how well you look. Your percussion section will have a category. Your drum majors will have a category. Everything auxiliary related will have a category and a score. So it's very detailed.
Like that.
Yeah, well, and to answer your next question about what would they get when they get to Atlanta? Again, man, this is ESPN Events, man. So all you got to do after you've made it at that point is get ready, because we're going to pay for you guys to get there. We're going to house the band, and we're going to put more money in your budget than you probably will make the entire year from any of the events that you will go to. We haven't announced, Ms. Grant will kill me if I announce the award, the cash prize right now. But right. I would go to say that, bands that may get $20,000 from Honda, you may get $10,000 from another event, you will get more money coming to Atlanta than you will for the entire year if you make it to our Final Four.
I'm glad you said that, because I know that was one of the things. That last part was something that a lot of people were asking. So I know that's going to be a soundbite that people, hey, look, and I try to tell people, yes, they're going to take care of you, because again, it's ESPN Events, and they're not going to be cheap on it. They're going to make sure they take care, because they know, one, that it's outside of the normal school season. So you got to be able to take care of these students coming in. Marcus,
Absolutely.
Go ahead, get a question in there, Marcus.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts, for coming on this evening. I guess you answered some of the questions I was going to ask in terms of how do schools participate. And you mentioned that each school will submit a video from each month. When I first saw the concept, it almost looks like, I guess from the college football standpoint, the current one where they do the playoff rankings like mid-season, if you will. And are you following that same track where you want really
stealing to something, man? What's going on here? Honestly, that's exactly it. When we call it, when first we started off in 2017, we call it the Undefeated. It was Undefeated is a subsidiary, a portion of ESPN, and now it changed to Anscape. So we had rankings, the rankings where we would do the top 10 rankings, and then we go to the final rankings, but we never gave a final total or cumulative total, which is going to be different this year. And we didn't want to do that until we had something to really give back to the schools. So that is we kind of followed that football model, and that everything matters and it counts now for the entire year. And people say, well, why are you doing that? It's fine like it is. If I would have asked somebody to name your top 10 band programs, you're probably going to say the same schools, but nobody really talks about the smaller programs. Nobody talks about great programs, the new program that just came out, Florida Memorial, which is a FAMU grad, Richard Beckford. That staff was a FAMU staff. They came out of nowhere in Division II last year when we did the rankings. Everybody like, who the crap is this? This school we never heard of. And they only had a band program about 3 years. And I think they got number 2 in one of our polls. And the university went nuts. This is the value of what we do, is that those programs that don't get a lot of highlight, now we can bring light to those programs, and people are talking about them. And it's not all about being number one. We had one program that cracked the top 10, I think Savannah State band program. They made like number 5, number 8 one year, and the university went nuts. Hey, look at they see us on a national level. So if you're caught up in being number one, there are no losers in this. This is ESPN.com that we're going to post the scores on. We used to post them on the undefeated. Anscape still going to be very active. What we do now every month, we'll have HBCU bands that we posted next to the football. The national football contenders on ESPN.com. You'll see HBCU bands in the rankings as well. And I think that's pretty powerful, man. That's huge.
Yes.
A quick question to follow up.
Sure.
Now, I know years past for the football games, there's always been some complaints about not being able to see the band because, of course, they have to pay the bills, for the commercials and everything. Do you think the advent of this competition and its expected popularity will change some of that for the halftime shows when they show our HBCU games on the broadcast networks, that we'll get a little bit more of the bands versus, or they'll find creative ways to make up the ad revenue?
Oh man, that's a double-edged sword, but it's a great question. The answer is yes. It's already had an immediate effect. We're presently surveying the band directors right now. We're asking them to highlight their top 3 shows that they give us. Look at the schedule, your football schedule. Let us know which games you want us to highlight, and ESPN is going to provide a link in terms of, because most of the MEAC SWAC games are already televised, and then there'll be a way, and I probably need Mr. Grant to talk about this, that you'll be able to go to the other network and watch the full halftime show, this year. So we're trying to televise as many of the halftime shows this year. When you get to ABC, and double-edged sword is the other part. When you go to ABC television, that's a whole different animal when you're going on that one. Or you get to the main network, because you're talking about, I don't want to get technical about it, but you're talking about royalties, you're talking about, clearances, etc. For the artist, and depending on who the artist is, playing a Beyonce song is a whole lot different than playing, hip hop artists. And then so you have to have different ways to be able to make the payments to be able to clear those halftime shows. However, to answer your question, the good part about it is, yes, we're trying to televise as many of those halftime shows this year through different methods this year with ESPN. Whether it's going to ESPN 1, 2, while 1 is on, whether going to 3, whether going to ESPNU or at halftime. But yeah, we're trying to do it.
All right. Well, thank you.
Don, tell if you can quickly let people know how, because one of the big things is obviously everybody has a percussion, everybody has their routines and things, but I think the auxiliary thing really is driving. I know a lot of people in the chats are talking about it, but it really drives people nuts trying to figure out. Well, Southern has the dancing dolls. FAMU doesn't have dancers. They have a flag corps, but that other school doesn't have flag corps. How does that get adjudicated?
Man, y'all asking the toughest questions, but good questions.
I'm
telling y'all, I promise you, these are band director questions.
Yes, yes.
And I promise you, because I have a summer band camp, and the band director from Southern University was my guest. I've had Dr. Chipman, who's been my guest, about 3 or 4 times for my Atlanta summer band camp. And this year, the last 2 years, I had the band director from Southern, and he asked me that question at dinner. That he said, "How do my dancing dolls get ranked? If in what they do?" And the thing, that's why we call it auxiliary. Okay, meaning we don't call it adjudicate the dance girls or adjudicate the Dirty Dozen. So your auxiliary corps is anything that is additional outside of band, outside of the music, etc. So if you have a flag corps, that's your auxiliary. We're going to have eyes on that auxiliary from the time they start with a whistle. One judge, he watches each category. So we'll have one judge on musicality, one judge for pictures, drill, and design, one judge for percussion, one judge for auxiliaries, one for drummer, and they watch from the time the drum major step out to auxiliary. That one judge watches them, and that is one score. Then it goes into a cumulative pool, and it is electronically calculated. So if you're dancing dolls from the time you step out, eyes are on you. If you are the flag corps, from the time you step out, eyes on you. And it's possible, like we've done the rankings where we had, scores that were really close. Everything is tight, and you get to the last score for auxiliaries, and that's the score that could actually push you over the top. So it's motivated band directors to really just keen in on the small aspects of their program.
Nice. Kelvin, we're pushing up against our time, so I want you to get in there with a last question or two. I know how you like to double up there for Don.
All right, man. Again, I just want to say, first of all, I really love this idea, man. I think it's going to be big, and I think it's going to grow. But I'm interested in you know, you've left. Well, you say you have a band camp, so you're still doing some teaching,
Right.
But you know, you do so many things now. You got into the production side. Do you have a preference? Do you love doing both? And then is Drumline 3, 4? Is there anything in the works?
Well, I mean, first of all, I do a summer band camp, but I do Drumline Live is a traveling theatrical production. So I encourage the listeners, our viewers to go to drumlinelive.com. But we have a traveling production that has been touring since like 2008. We've done more than 300 cities. 300 shows all across the United States. We traveled. We've done Japan, Korea, Japan 3 times. We just finished a tour on last year. We have another tour that starts again in December. We're always looking for talent. Some of my best talent comes out of Tallahassee, Florida. So we're the only professional HBCU band, so to speak, in the world. So I definitely still direct. I just recently retired from DeKalb County as music supervisor for the school district out of the high school band. So I'm really all me. So I do my show, which is Drumline Live, but I also get a chance to work on television, movies. Just worked on Eddie Murphy movies that's coming out next year. We did Captain America, The Winter Soldier about a year ago. Did Spectacular with Shaquille O'Neal this past New Year's Eve. So I do a little television, movies, but I actually have my own show. So check us out. We travel around. I got a show in Miami, and I think in February, coming up in 2024. So yeah, I'm definitely involved in that, and I enjoy everything that I'm doing. And I got to shout my kid out before I go. My son Jaden Roberts was drum major. Also, he graduated a year ago from FAMU. He's now in medical school at Howard University. So thank you, FAMU, for that great education.
Congratulations, and keeping the drum major line going. So that's 2 generations of drum majors there.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. All right, there it is, folks. Drumlinelive.com. Make sure to check out the website. And then, of course, all of the information. I mean, you guys are going to go back and play this clip for all the questions that y'all have been asking on social media. Anything that John Grant didn't ask or answer, here you got it right from Don Roberts, who so this is awesome, Don. And hey, when you get ready to announce that executive committee, you make sure to let us know now. Come back on and be prepared to talk about that.
Absolutely, it's coming. It's going to be all year round. It's going to be exciting. It's going to really showcase bands that you probably never heard about. Because when we post the rankings, we're going to post a link to the show that was adjudicated, so you can see that this was no bias. And you're going to say, "Wow, I never saw that band before," and you're going to start following that program.
That right there is going to be awesome. Well, I tell you what, it's going to be hard to stay focused on the job when I got to deal with football and then the band. I don't know. I might need to go into an easier, don't let me say easier, but a different kind of job. So that way I can keep track of this kind of stuff. But it's going to be fun to watch the discussions. Don, any other plugs? You mentioned your son there, MyLive.com. Anything else you want to plug?
No, man, I just want to plug my university. Dr. Shelby Chipman, my former classmate, Lindsey Sargent, one of the best arrangers in America. Dr. White, my former band director. FAMU Rattler Nation, man, love you. Thank you, guys. Let's knock Jackson State out the park in September.
There you go. Hey, well said, Don. Appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. All right.
Thank you.
Again, Don Roberts, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, real quick, we're gonna take a quick wrong thing there. There we go. I'm gonna take a quick little break, minute and a half. Come back. We're gonna talk to Ken Riley in just a second, and we'll get a chance to talk to him as we continue to celebrate Hall of Fame inductee number 368. That's Ken Riley Sr. So hang tight. Go run, get a quick drink. Be right back here. You're watching the O&G StrikeZone on the Black College Sports Network.
All right, team. Let's do it.
Precision, rankings, design, excitement. All part of the winning formula in the fight to become Band of the Year.
We're coming to win, 'cause runner-up is not an option. option. We keep it moving cause it ain't no stopping.
Championship should be decided on the field.
Make some noise.
There'll be some high stepping here.
If you haven't seen him before, you're in for a treat.
Ladies and gentlemen, behold.
This fall, halftime shows take on a whole new meaning as HBCU bands throughout the country battle for an opportunity to showcase their excellence at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta.
We keep it moving cause it ain't no stop.
Each week, bands will be ranked based on top performances, accuracy, and swagger. Bands will be judged on showmanship, musicianship, and technique by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 bands, top 2 from the Divisions 1 and 2, will earn the right to face off in Atlanta, where a national championship will be crowned. The Band of the Year, presented by ESPN Events.